Hello friends, it's Cybill Sixpence, and a little while ago I shared a short of this church build, and I was asked if I could make a tutorial. So today we're going block by block, step by step to bring it to life. It's a simple design, but it has a quiet charm that makes it feel right at home in a village or tucked into the edge of a town. I think it could be a beautiful centerpiece in your world too. Here is your materials list. Come with me. Let's see how it goes. This church build was actually a part of a bigger project. I spent all August building an entire new town. To get this exact look, you're going to need Mitsuno Craft 16, which is a resource pack. I'll leave the link in the description below. However, the use of this resource pack is not necessary to have a beautiful church build. You will need a 27 by 15 amount of space, so some terraforming might be necessary. Just as a little bit of disclosure, I do not use schematics to do my build. Most of my builds are off my head. So the measurement that I gave you is the measurement I do end up with. However, you will notice that during my build, I make some changes to size. But in the end, it's your build. Make it the way you want it. So to begin with, I am using smooth sandstone, and I'm going 5 blocks high, and then off to the side, I am realizing that I did not make it long enough. And so I'm adding some more space to my church, which is exactly what I was mentioning earlier. And from there, I'm going to use 1 smooth sandstone block, and then tower them up with cut sandstone, about 4 high. And then I'll cap each one of those with a cut sandstone stairs with additional cut sandstone for 2 more blocks, and capping that again with a cut sandstone stairs. On the insides, I'm going to create a framework with smooth sandstone stairs. I followed this exact pattern on the other side of the church. Because of Mitsuno 16 Craft, certain slabs can be doubled up to create a new pattern. Here I am using 2 smooth sandstone slabs to create this new pattern of double bricks, followed by 1 row of light blue terracotta and then another layer of double slabs of smooth sandstone slabs. Without filling in the space, I am going to be using polished granite to skirt around the edge of the church. I leave the space open underneath the sandstone so that I can put some dirt so I can grow some flowers in it. For the roof, I'm going to be using polished andesite stairs and polished andesite blocks and polished andesite slabs, using a pattern of stair, block, until I get to the top 3 layers, and then using slabs and blocks so that it gives more like a dome shape rather than a peak. At first I do continue with the peak, but I do change my mind later. If you prefer a more steeped or a peaked roof, go ahead and do that. It's your build, make it the way you want it. And so with my little bell tower here, I'm going to continue with some smooth sandstone. I did start by making this a 7 by 7, but after I got the tower built up and kind of compared it to the rest of the church, I felt it's a little too big. So I do trim that back down to a 5 by 5, as I had suggested in my floor plan at the beginning of the video. But it does take me a minute to look around and observe it. Let that be the power to stepping back and looking at your work and making sure that you're happy with it. Now, if you do prefer a larger bell tower, if you want to keep it a 7 by 7, that is perfectly fine. It is your church in your world, and you build it the way that you want it. And so after I get it cut down to a 5 by 5, and I replace the polished granite at the bottom, that's when I decide that the roof is a little too steep, and I want to bring that down. And so here is where I kind of start doing some shaving, and I readjust it so that we have more of a curve. You can do that by adding an extra layer of stairs and then continuing with the slab followed by a block in the center. And then for the top of the bell tower, I'm going to be using polished andesite slabs. I'm just continuing up till the very top. Nothing really fancy. It's really flat and short. Using polished granite, I'm just going to be making a little platform here and then making an alternative but similar pattern as I did onto the sides to make a doorway using cut sandstone and cut sandstone stairs, as well as echoing that very same slab pattern with the blue terracotta around the bell tower that matches, so it all looks very smooth. The floor of my church is going to be made with acacia planks. Because Mizuno 16, it doesn't look quite so orange. I do love the more grayish brown look that it offers. And then, so that we're not looking at such an ugly roof, I'm going to outline with smooth quartz using stairs, blocks, and slabs. Using a combination of chains and light gray pane glass, I'm going to make chandeliers throughout my church and hanging them with lanterns, brighten up the place, and decorate them the top sides with candles. I'll do the same on the walls, and that'll definitely brighten the place up a bit. In the windows, I will be placing cyan glass panes and light blue glass panes, and then echoing my window pattern into my bell tower. On the back of the church, I am still going to continue to make room for a little garden right there where the windows will be. And the same pattern that I used on the sides of the church, I'm going to continue with the back of the church and just doubling that up so that we can have space for some extra decoration, as that it is a pretty big wall and we want to make sure that the area is fully decorated. And for the windows, we're going to continue with the same pattern that I have done in the bell tower and the sides of the church. For everything that we did at the back of the church, it just felt like maybe a little attic window right here would have been really nice. And now on for the inside of the church, where I am using tough stairs as chairs and then outlining the walkway with light blue carpet. And for the podium, I'm going to be using some smooth sandstone stairs as it will match the rest of the church, and then just using a lectern and covering that around with some copper waxed oxidized trapdoors, and using those same blocks to make some places to put books on either side of the podium, then decorating it with some pots, some flowers. Choose your flower. It's up to you what you like. Use your favorite one. If the area is not bright enough for you, you can always put some sea lanterns underneath the carpet. It'll definitely brighten up the rest of the church. This part is completely optional and basically depending on your town as to whether you already have a road path created for you. This was just part of my town project, but I thought it was really pretty, so I'm just using some stone bricks and some polished tuff, glazed terracotta, and just creating this little pattern in a pathway that goes directly up into the church. I thought it was just really pretty. It just ties the whole town together. Going into the church and just adding some lighting within the bell tower and just making sure everything's the way that I want. Never underestimate the power of just going back and observing your work. It takes a minute for the trees to grow, so I'm going to go ahead and throw around some cherry trees. Since I want to throw some pink into my church as well, I'm going to outline the very bottom of the roof with some cherry trap doors. Throw some moss box into my window gardens, and I am using sweetberry, but you use whatever it is that you like the best. And then I've decided to replace all of the granite blocks with granite stairs just to make it more smooth. And that's our little church, all finished. I hope you had fun building it along with me, and maybe it'll find a place in your world. If you enjoyed this tutorial, feel free to give it a like. It helps more than you think. And if you'd like to see more cozy builds and adventures, I'd love it if you would subscribe and stay around for the next one. Until then, stay cozy, stay curious. Bye-bye.